And we are live. Siri Lindley, thank you so much for being on. This is such an honor for me. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited for this. I
Yeah,
mean, the first time we met, it was just, we have so much in common. I'm so excited to be here. So thank you for having me on your show.
you are an inspiration to so many people. I will not even be able to get through all of your accomplishments. And more importantly, what you do to help motivate people to get them where they are, including some of the world champion athletes, Olympic medalists. You yourself are a world champion. You are an author. You are a speaker, including with Tony Robbins. You have an incredibly profound story of overcoming frankly, a lot of fear, a lot of like you even talk a little bit about overcoming OCD and things like that. So let's dive in. Let's go in because I'm going to do this a little bit backwards, a unique kind of style of an interview. I'm going to ask you about the results and then we'll get into how you get there. But before we do, for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm terrible speaking about myself. First of all, so I thank you for the intro because I'm just me, and I have had the good fortune of having a lot of deep challenges in my life. And I know that sounds strange, a deep fortune. But from what I know and my life experience, every really big challenge that I've ever faced has led me to becoming more, a greater version of myself. Every challenge has led me to up leveling, whether that be, personally inside myself or achieving something that seemed impossible. So for me, what resonates so much with your message, Sabrina, is that for me, everything magnificent in my life, and I have so much to be grateful for,
Mm.
was born in fear, was born in pain.
Mhm.
So I guess, even, the thing that originally I started speaking about is as a 23-year-old, I realized I was gay. And this day and age, no big deal. But when I was 23 and I came from a very conservative family, that was like the worst thing ever. And I had graduated from Brown University. I was a field hockey, ice hockey, and lacrosse player and had a degree in psychology. But my dad finds out that I'm gay and cuts me out of his life. My dad was my hero. Like, he was like my best friend, my greatest source of love. And he cut me out of his life, which the message from that is because of who you are, you're not worthy of love.
Right.
So, like, that destroyed me, but I couldn't let it destroy me. Like, I needed to find a way to prove to myself that even as a gay woman, I could achieve extraordinary things, that I could make a difference in this world, that I could inspire people even, and that I could be loved. And so when I took up triathlon at 23 years old, I didn't know how to swim, but I knew that this looked like this incredible vehicle to find myself. Because all these people, different ages, sizes, they were finding themselves through this
Mhm.
challenge. Okay. So I do my first race. I come in dead last, but I never felt so alive because I said yes to me.
Right.
And
Right.
so in that, I failed a lot along the way. But after that first race, I decided that this was going to be it. I wanted to do everything in my power to one day become the best in the world in this sport.
Yeah.
And that's scary as hell when you suck, right?
Yeah.
But it was why it was important. It felt like life or death to me
Mm.
at the time. It felt like if I can't do this, how can I ever be enough in this world? And
Mhm.
granted, looking back, that's a pretty high standard to set for myself. Like, I can love you, Siri, if you become the best in the world in this sport you suck at. Like, that's kind of harsh. But for me at the time, I felt like it was going to take something that big uh, to feel safe within my own skin, to feel
Yeah.
like I'm going to be okay
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah. I think just about everyone on this planet can relate to that. And just your willingness to be so open and vulnerable about just that piece of your life. I mean, we haven't even talked to a cancer survivor, and that story has brought me literally to tears, Siri. And it's just been a huge inspiration for myself and so many people in our world that we have in common. I think so many, a large part of the folks who tune in are senior leaders, executives at Fortune 100 companies. And, I'm always floored by how many of these incredibly successful by all Western society metrics, and all of them, a beautiful family, the white picket fence, every car you could imagine, every boat you could imagine that's bigger than the boat next to it. I mean, you name it. These huge titles of, CXO of, name this big company, that big company. And I would say about 80% of them say something behind closed doors. Some of them are brave enough to say it on camera, is that I have imposter syndrome. I'm struggling with, am I enough?
Yeah.
And what does that look like? And a lot of overachievers, I'd be willing, to bet there's some of this also in some of the athletes that you've coached. I know you coached Miranda to 3 of her Ironman world championships as well, and many others. There's this sort of desire to be enough, to prove that we're enough. So let me ask you this. You've overcome a lot of scary stuff. My life didn't really start until I started doing things that terrified me on purpose. So what's the scariest thing that you've ever done?
I chose early on back in college that I was going to do something that scared me every single day, because I knew that that was the only way I would develop courage. I've always thought, how can we ever know what we're truly capable of if we're not trying to do what we don't think we can, like every single day? So for me, and I think, when it comes to imposter syndrome, to touch upon that, I feel like so many high achievers, they think that they're going to feel that they belong and that they're enough when they have that title, when they have that amount of money in the bank account, when they have that, husband or wife or whatever it is, or that car. But what I discovered is that all along I was searching for this validation from outside of me, from other people, from things that I could achieve. And what I realized was the thing that was going to finally make me feel like I was enough is when I gave myself permission to acknowledge that I was. It was my love that I was after all along. It was my validation that I was after all along.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And the moment you give yourself permission to say, look at what you have achieved. This is extraordinary. Look at what you have overcome. The minute you give that to you, you no longer feel like you don't belong.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah, sorry.
No.
There was a thought that you brought up for me as well. And yeah, no, keep going. But yes, that's so important. So you want to get over imposter syndrome, stack your proof.
Yeah.
Like write down and acknowledge all the challenges that you've overcome, the things that you've achieved that at one point seemed impossible. Like, give yourself that.
Yeah.
Celebrate yourself, honor yourself, acknowledge yourself, because I bet that for the majority of people out there, it's your validation that you've needed all along.
Yeah. I think you couldn't be more spot on. For me, it was really understanding what I was capable of. I had plenty of accolades, not nearly like you, but
yes, you do,
accolades.
girl. You're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. But and so many of our friends have them too. I mean, but to your point, we're out there looking for outside love when it's really, we should be looking inside going, oh, okay. And it sounds fluffy, especially in this tech world or, in any of these industries out there, it sounds fluffy, like, oh, love yourself. But it's so much harder, especially, what I've learned is the more I become myself and what I call growing into myself, the more I realize it's about being less perfect. And it's about telling other people, showing other people. We were just talking about, I posted this picture of me ugly crying, and now it has millions of views, and it's wildly embarrassing and all these things. It was me saying it's okay to not be perfect. And that's probably one of the most endearing things about me is, boy, I'll help you really feel good about yourself because I'm not even close to that. And I'm sick of trying to pretend like I am. And that allowed me to feel like, hey, I can love myself, the real me, not the fake stuff that I'm trying to portray. So how did you get there?
So Sabrina, first of all, I love that so much. And in my opinion, I think the greatest leaders are those that show up fearlessly authentic, that are vulnerable, that are open, that talk about the times they failed, that talk about the times that they made a mistake that just devastated them.
Yeah.
I believe that every leader, as leaders, we're not here to be the star. I feel like as leaders, we are here to build a thriving team where they all become the stars and you rise with that. That's on you. You created that. But for me, I've always, and when I speak, I want everyone in the audience to see the possibility for themselves in me.
Yeah.
Now, in order to do that, social media, you see it all the time. It's like, oh, this person rose to greatness and it was perfect. They never failed. They never embarrassed themselves. They never had self-doubt. Like BS, that's just not reality.
Right.
So anytime right here, like I'm going to say it how it is, because as I do that, yes, I have achieved some extraordinary things. But I am so imperfect. I've failed so many times. I've done the ugly cry a million times. I've embarrassed myself. And because of that, I rose to the levels that I have because of that.
Yeah.
Because how do we ever achieve great success if we don't fail over and over again? Because that's where we learn. That's where we grow. That's how we become who we need to become to get wherever we want to go. Like, I don't think you can succeed without that. So if we're not talking about those failures, if we're not talking about those disappointments, then someone else who's come in behind us and has these big dreams, but they're failing and they feel self-doubt and they feel afraid, they think, obviously, I don't have what it takes.
Right.
Maybe they give up. Like, we can't afford to let that happen because we need to build these legacies.
Yeah.
So other people can take things even beyond where we have.
Yeah. And that goes right to the heart of your purpose. I've heard you talk about this before, and I've heard a lot of other, really incredible world leaders talk about this. Once they hit a certain level of status, and for you, I'd love for you to share your story and how you came to this during, your diagnosis. But when you really search for purpose, it's not so much about you. It's going, well, Siri did this, maybe I can do it too. It's about lifting other people and going, well, wait a minute, she wasn't perfect, so maybe I don't have to be perfect.
Yeah, that's so important to me, Sabrina. And, everything that I feel like for us, the things that we didn't get, either growing up or something that we really wanted that we never got, like, I want to go first in giving those things to everyone else.
Yeah.
I want to go first in giving that recognition, that respect, that appreciation, that love, that patience. I want to give everything that I perhaps didn't get. But when I was in hospital, I 5 years ago was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, which is a deadly disease. I had a genetic mutation. They gave me probably a 5% chance of surviving, and that 5% was 2 clinical trials. So talk about fear. I mean, I'm faced with like my biggest fear and the one hope are 2 clinical trials that haven't even been used before.
Yeah.
But like with anything, when a big, huge challenge hits like that, you have to give it an empowering meaning. You have to give it a meaning that's going to see you rise and find a way to get through it. So from the statistic, like the story I was hearing was that this is the end.
Right.
But like, how do you show up when you think it's the end? I mean,
Ooh.
you think it's the end of your time at a certain job, or you think it's the end of a relationship. How do you show up? Are you like doing everything you did in the beginning to strive and hit your targets and, light up your partner? No. You think it's the end. You just you're saying your goodbyes, you're settling down, you're writing your will. I couldn't afford to give it that meaning. So I have always thought, and this is something that gets me through the toughest times,
Hmm.
is what if what I'm going through now is preparing me for what I asked for? Because I believe that. My philosophy is the challenges we go through are there to help us strengthen certain skills that we need to strengthen, or help us become who we need to become to
Yeah.
achieve our biggest dreams. So now that meaning, like this is life happening for me, it's here to help me. And a little context, at this point in time, this was 5 years ago, my life was everything that I had worked for a lifetime to create. I'm married to the love of my life. I have a love and a respect for myself. I have a nonprofit that's like my mission and purpose. I'm speaking around the world. I'm speaking for Tony, one of my greatest mentors. And I felt such gratitude that all I wanted was to be able to help guide others to this freedom that I felt, to this
Mm.
joy, to this just this freedom. Freedom's the best
Yeah.
word to use.
Yeah.
And I would pray every day, God, I hope that I can become that person that can help guide others to this place that I feel so blessed to be in.
Mm.
Then I get leukemia. And it's like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
Like right when I have everything I ever dreamed of. So I had to believe that this was happening for me.
Mm.
And that saw me show up with an energy where, okay, what do I need to do? Where do I need to go? Who do I need to become? I need to let go of all the dis-ease in my body. We all hold dis-ease in our body, and that is anger, it's resentment, it's, worry, whatever it is. I knew I needed to get rid of all of that, forgive who I needed to forgive myself
Mm.
for the things that I did that I felt bad about. By removing all the dis-ease, I could make room for the healing to move through me. And that was so important. And so what you were talking about, finding my purpose in this is, and first of all, let me preface everything by saying that this was the most horrible experience of my life. It's the hardest thing I've ever dealt with. It brought me to my knees,
Of course.
but I wouldn't change a thing, because the gifts that I got
Interesting.
from
Wow.
this fight, from this battle, are gifts that have changed me. And just to be vulnerable, I'll share the biggest one, because I think this people will resonate with this. I believe that my wife was with me, and my friends and my parents, everyone who loved me. I believe they loved me because I was an achiever. I was achieving
Mm.
great things. I was, creating extraordinary squads. I was, always strong and achieving and doing this and doing that. Never a worry, never a problem. I thought this is why I'm loved. So I lose like 25 pounds. I'm vomiting like 70 times a day. I can't do anything for myself. I'm the biggest problem for everyone around me. And I thought that everybody was going to just disappear, because this isn't this, they can't love this.
Right.
But nobody left. They loved me more than ever. And do you know the gift when you realize And I'm saying this to each and every one of you listening, that you are not loved for what you have achieved and accomplished. You are not loved for the money in your bank account. You are not loved for the car you drive. You are loved for your heart, for your soul, for your spirit. You are loved for you. Think about that gift, Sabrina. After 50 years of thinking that I had to be a certain something to be loved, and how shallow that felt. Like, that gift in itself was everything.
Wow. I can't even imagine the weight too. You know, so many of us are givers. That's what we do. We produce, we make other people wealthy or famous or whatever it might be, successful, whatever that definition is for them. We're givers. And then that equates to our value. And when you strip that away, you can feel very naked and very raw and go, how on earth am I worthy? How am I enough? How am I good enough? And start to redefine who you are, because you were the giver, you were the easy one, you were the accomplished one. Now all of a sudden you have to redefine who you are and really get to the basics of who you actually have always been. And I can imagine how incredibly terrifying that must be, because you have to accept all the things that maybe weren't accepted about you. You have to see things that you thought, ooh, that's bad, for now, actually, no, that's a really good thing about me. And how relatable is that? I mean, thank you for even sharing that, because I know even in my own story, I've struggled with that. I'm the one who helps. I don't need help. I'm always okay.
Right.
It's tough,
Well,
scary.
it's super scary. And here's the thing, like, think about the people you love most in your life. Do you love them because of their achievements or their titles or their money or what they do for you?
Right. It's so easy though for us to intellectualize. I say us, like the collective us, to
Yeah.
your point, you know, the audience, but also you and I. It's easy for us to intellectualize. And of course not. You know, if my mother was sick or if you were sick, I'd take care of you. It wouldn't even be a second question. But when it's about us, when it's us taking a step back and saying, okay, what was my real purpose here?
Yeah.
Why am I so lovable? Who
Yeah.
am I? All of a sudden now that shifts almost your entire world, at least for a lot of us.
It shifts everything. It
Yeah,
shifts everything.
yeah,
And because, so much of achievement is with force, like going to prove yourself, and it's this forced energy. And the most beautiful gift that I have now is that what I achieve is through flow. It's just because I have this desire to want to help. I want to make a difference in the world. I want to love with all my heart. Like, all of this comes from this flow. And even in that, there's this, oh, well, I had an athlete actually, and she always won, but she won with, like, she would get herself in a state, like she'd break up with her boyfriend, or she'd, do something that was like so dramatic and made her feel horrible and angry, and she'd go out and she'd win. So she starts thinking that things have to be tough, and there needs to be drama, and there needs to be pressure to win. And she was an extraordinary athlete. And I said, hey, listen, what if we try a different way? What if we don't try to mess everything up in your life right before the race? What if we choose to look at everything that you're so grateful for in your life, everything that you appreciate about you and your body and this work that you do? Let's just try it. And she was terrified. She's like, I won't be able to succeed with this. I said, I will put my house on this, that
Mhm.
this will be the right thing for you. And so she, trained and was on this, path of, I always, I have these champion mind 5 principles, and one of them is be grateful. Like, living in gratitude is this high energy state where just miracles are created. So she shifted her whole kind of mindset, and she went off, and she not only won the next race, but she went 5 minutes faster than she'd ever gone before. So let's all, and this is scary, right, Sabrina? So that's scary to say, oh, well, gosh, if I do this with more gratitude and more flow, yeah, it's scary, but go do it and see what you're capable of.
Right.
Because you've been achieving in spite of
Right.
push and the pressure and the force. You've been achieving in spite of that.
Right.
Imagine what's possible when you choose flow instead.
Wow.
It doesn't mean you don't work. Like, let me be clear. Flow doesn't mean you're just sitting back and hoping things magically happen. You're still going all in. You're making it happen, but you're doing it with like this joy and this knowing that
Yeah.
you go all in, you're going to create amazing things, and doing it with gratitude and appreciation and joy is kind of what I'm talking about here.
So, I mean, this is so good. I mean, there's just so many things in here where I'm like, yes, that, yeah, that, you yourself are in the Hall of Fame. You've trained literally the top athletes in the world. Do they come to you with this mindset? Is this sort of a one-off? Is this something that a lot of athletes struggle with? Because I can tell you, and you already know, so I'm preaching to the choir. But in the business world, there's a lot of this too, where it's like, we got to grind. We've got to be the best. And that's different than we've got to work hard. We've got to execute. Athletes execute.
Yeah.
Top performers execute. High value people execute.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
help me understand, as a foremost coach and athlete yourself, where do you get that? Where do you pull from? What do those top athletes, what do they have in common when it comes to having that joy and that mindset and things like that? Does it look different, or am I overcomplicating it?
Now, I mean, you're exactly on it. And it was my mission when I started coaching. And actually, I figured out this formula when I was in hospital, and it was really kind of touch and go. I didn't know if I was going to be around the next day. So in my mind, I started thinking, like, I want to leave something behind that can help people. Like, how did we do this? How did I achieve what I achieved? How did my athletes go from being average to the best in the world? And so I came up with these 5 things, and I call them my champion mind principles. And if you go all in and commit to doing these things, being these things, like, anything and everything is possible with flow. And that is first principle: own your energy. Does your energy align with the magnitude of your dreams? And my athletes would come and they'd have these big, huge dreams, but their energy, which I believe mostly comes from your patterns of focus, the meaning you give, that your habits, your rituals, a lot of them came, and it was clear why they hadn't been achieving at the level they wanted to. We
Wow.
needed to shift their focus from what was missing to what they had, and like strengthen that and build upon that. We needed to shift their focus from what they had no control over to what they had all the control over: their attitude, their effort, the meaning that they give. Like, what meaning do you give failure? Most of them are like, oh my God, I can't fail. Like, it's horrible. It's the scariest thing in the world. It's like, okay, well, first of all, the meaning of failure needs to change to learning. When you fail, you learn. When you learn, you grow. Like, just be ready to fail, because that's a part of it. And I want to see you fail, because I know we're doing it right. And so owning your energy comes from your focus and your meaning, and always choosing a focus and a meaning that moves you forward, not back. So owning your energy was number 1. Number 2, be fearlessly authentic. Like be you.
Yeah.
When you're firing on all cylinders, when there's no part of you that you're leaving on the bench of life, like that's where you are going to be at your best.
Yeah.
Third one, be intentional. Everything, when you start doing things with intention, including like being intentional about what you're focusing on and the meaning you give, it's going to superpower your progress forward. Fourth one, be present. We all know this. Think about how presence, when you're present to, like right now, we're so present with one another, and we're having this amazing conversation. When you're present, when you're taking part in a sport, like running down the field, wanting to score a goal, when you're in that moment, you're more likely to score. When you're present on a project, without getting distracted, like that's where you're superpowered. That's where you're more powerful. And most importantly, when you're present with your people, there's deeper trust. It's a deeper connection. And the last one is be grateful. Because
Mm.
again, gratitude is a higher energy state. From this place, we make better decisions. We're more resourceful when we're in a higher energy state. And so from that place, so with these 5 things, with my athletes, they come in and the first thing, way more important than the swimming, biking, and the running training is we've got to condition your mindset and how you think. And you are going to own these 5 things. You're going to own your energy. You're going to be fearlessly authentic. You're going to be intentional. You're going to be present. You're going to be grateful. Then we do that with all the training. And that's where they went to the moon.
Yeah.
So it's mindset. And I think that is what made my squad so successful. And as you, as the leader, bring this mindset and start training this mindset, then your people start teaching others that, and it becomes your culture.
Right.
And that became my culture.
Oh, so good. And by the way, there's so much science that backs this up. I've dedicated sort of this, maybe last 15 plus years to sort of the neuroscience behind a lot of this behavior profiling. My first career was around behavior profiling. I've got more sorts that I probably need around it.
Amazing.
There is so much science behind what you said. And to your point, when you show up that way, there's these things called mirror neurons in our brains that other people then emulate it. It feels safe for them. The more you show up vulnerable, the more other people can show up vulnerable. It's not just about you all of a sudden. Now, this is how you leave an impact, a neurological implant on someone else's brain to say, hey, Siri did it and she was safe. I guess I can do it and I'll be safe. Talk
Boom.
about an impact.
Sabrina, that's yes. Boom.
Yeah.
Right there. It's so important. So we model it as leaders, and everyone else starts kind of doing it that way and realizing that that is the way.
Right.
And it creates beautiful things. So I feel so blessed to have had the opportunity to create something like that with my people.
And to turn something so difficult, you've got top athletes and you have to have these incredibly challenging conversations to say, hey, I know you're one of the best. Let's take a couple steps back before we go forward. To take cancer, one of the most terrifying words, really, in addiction. I mean, in moments in your life, to take fear and make it become a compass for your decisions is one of the best lessons that have truly changed and unlocked a life I didn't even know was possible for me. And I've seen it happen with you, even from afar. It is, and now to hear how it's happening and how you've been using it to build up world renowned athletes, including yourself. It's like there's so much behind this. And I can see it just in your own heart and your spirit and what you do. Like you said, even with your charity, what it does for animals, it's so much bigger than us. And I'll tell you what, Siri, if anybody is living out their purpose, it's you. And I know we're way over on time.
No, I'm sorry.
No way. I could go for 5 more hours. This is so good. Thank you. Truly, you've helped me, and I know you've helped the viewers. Thank you so much. You're just an incredible.
Thank you. You are such a gift in this world, and you are one of those people going out there and showing people, what's possible when you're willing to fear forward, as you say. So thank you for that, because you are lighting the path for so many, and it's just beautiful to witness. And I feel so blessed to share this time with you and all your listeners. So thank you. Thank you so much for the gift of you.
Likewise. We didn't even talk about your book. There's so much in there. I'm going to add all the links below, and I would love to have you back. I have like 15 more hours of questions. I won't do all that for you, but or put you through all of that. But truly, Siri, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to have you on mine.
I know. I'm in. I can't wait.
Ask me the questions.
All right. I'm ready. I'm kind of ready. All right. Till next time. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.